Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello.
All right. Okay. If I can ask everyone's attention here. All right. Okay. If I can ask everyone's. We're good? Nice. All right. Good evening, everyone. Hi. Welcome to Tech Talks. This is an event brought to you by Byborg. Lovely to see faces united here in our building. I am Anna. I work in learning and development. And I must share with you, being here and working here has been an incredible learning opportunity, which I've had the honor to share with amazing, talented, and professional colleagues. So, in short, Byborg is a new company created to gather all our live streaming activities in one space, where we can also tackle future tech challenges. It is a company that belongs to the Dockler Group that gathers at this moment roughly 1,300 employees worldwide, having 300 of those being based here in Luxembourg. 75% of us work in development, programming, coding, IT, just the tech field. And we are a diverse bunch of 30 nationalities in total. Now, in short, to get this going, Tech Talks was created with the intention to have a dedicated space where people within the industry could come together, exchange, and generate conversations around relevant topics. So this is why we're here today. It's about connecting, sharing, and learning together. Without further ado, the schedule for this evening will begin with an exploration of the field of test automation, where we will begin with a speech on automating valuable KPIs. Our lovely colleagues, Vini and Hudson, are going to take on the stage for that. Following that, we will be having a lovely special guest, Vasilika Klimova, who is a business and technology consultant with a vast experience in her field. Thank you for joining us today, Vasilika. Really appreciate having you here. And Vasilika is going to be exploring a little bit more the field front end. So she's going to have a speech on 3D, VR, and AR in browser. And that's it. Please, Vinny and Hudson, join me as the stage will be yours.
Okay, hello everyone, good evening. Thank you for being here, thanks for your time. So our presentation is about test automation, automating valuable KPIs for test automation. I'm Vini Seganfredo, this is Hudson Rosa, both test automation engineers. And yeah, so just wait for the slides.
Just a moment, please.
Okay, so yeah, let's begin. So our presentation is basically divided in three main groups of topics, as you can see here. The first one is the introduction, why we need these KPIs in the first place, and how we gather the pieces to assemble a dashboard, a test automation dashboard. Then we talk about the KPIs in more details, how we calculate them, and why each of them are important. And later we talk about the next steps, and also have 5 minutes for questions and answers. So yeah, let's go. So before we continue, we need to understand what motivated us to make this tech talk, as well as the KPIs and the dashboard, test automation dashboard. So Hudson is going to talk for us about that. Hudson, please.
Of course. So yeah, before I start talking about any kind of strategy, actually what motivated us was our manager. And basically he is here. But we need to talk about this because he motivated us to do this and create some kind of strategy where we could like make our process with automation, test automation in general, more efficient and deliver with lower costs and faster. And with that, actually, in the beginning, we did have an idea about this kind of strategy we should adopt because we have no idea about progress, costs, etc. And we chose this test parameter concept. Basically, is a way how we can split different test types in our parameter. This concept is created in 2009, if I'm not wrong, by Mike Kahn. And basically, we can represent these different test types where we have on top, on all those costly maintenance and is lower to run tests like end-to-end ones. And we are trying now to make this, using this strategy, to make the tests like faster and cheaper to run, okay? So because of that, we need to divide a bit these different scopes like functional, integration, and unit tests. And as much as you have on basis, you have more like number of tests. So to make this possible, we adopt this approach, shift-left approach, actually. What it means this, basically we are trying to bring the test from the right to the left, where we can test earlier in our process, in our development life cycle, to make this like a cheaper, as I mentioned before, and faster delivery. So, of course, we need to cover more to have this benefit on test automation. So because that we adopt BDD. So BDD make our process more visible and transparent for the whole team in order that we can just read different specifications where we can convert on automated tests and also identify them properly using tags and different kind of mechanisms that we can take advantage on this practice. Yeah, I showed like a very short what we have in terms of strategy, but Vini will be detailing more about how we solve this, what is the technique or the tool that we created for that.
All right, so in order to better visualize our progress about the two strategies that Judson just showed us, we basically needed some sort of dashboard. For that, we developed a test automation dashboard that with two different data strategies can give us some more centralized information about our progress, as well as we can take some more targeted actions. For instance, we can start moving the test cases from end-to-end to lower pyramid levels, and we can also use these KPIs to make our pipelines even faster and more healthy. We can also reduce efforts in analysis since this dashboard is fully automated, and yeah, quick feedback also because of that. We basically needed to get data points to get this data. So basically the first one is the test management system, as you can see there, where we have feature files and feature scenarios. So basically there you can see the scenarios we have in this feature file. And we also have different tags. So the tags are represented there in green. These tags basically represent the different layers of our test pyramid. So we have end-to-end, integration, and functional basically. And we also needed some information from our CI/CD tool. So basically we have it here. From there we get data about the test cases that are passing, the test cases that are failing, as well as we can get the time it takes to run our test cases from there. So here on the base of this slide, you can see the tech stack we use to develop this dashboard. So for application, we use Next.js, Chart.js, and Next.js basically. And for deployment, we use Docker, Helm, and Kubernetes. And for data gathering, we use Axios to make requests to the Bamboo and Testomat that are our CI/CD tool and test management system. On the diagram itself, you can see that we have both mentioned tools on the bottom, and then our data access layer basically makes some requests there to their APIs and gets some response back. This response is later sent to the controller, which makes some calculations about our KPIs, and later we present it on two different dashboards, the first one being the product coverage, and the second one being the pipeline health. So yeah, we have this dashboard now. We have how to collect data and calculate these KPIs, but why do we need them in the first place? Hudson is going to show us.
Of course. In short, yeah, Vini showed us all the details involving how we are extracting information or data from our tools, but we need to do something with these metrics, let's say. So we have strategy for that. We have some goal. So once we combine this data with strategy, we are trying to reach some specific goal for the team or for the company. To do that, to have a good KPI, actually we need to adopt some kind of technique, let's say SMART. This acronym means that we should have specific KPI, should be measurable, should be attainable, where we can reach some kind of specific goal that we define. Relevant for the team or in the company in general, because KPI should be relevant. Doesn't matter if you create any kind of easy stuff, but should be relevant for everyone. And time frame where we can measure this anyways, like every time, because we are collecting this continuously in the process. So it's really important to have that. As an outcome, we have this another acronym, which means values. We create that kind of acronym just to specify better what is the result from a KPI. What do we expect from a KPI that we defined before? So the KPI should provide us some vision, accuracy, reliability on data, should be understandable, and make some kind of efficient way that we can analyze and bring speed on all of these analysis with the numbers. So in our case, we are trying to optimize a bit our test automation delivery with lower costs, as I mentioned before. Here we have some examples. As you can see, we have different departments just to understand that we are not like concentrating this concept, which was creating 90s, for example, to represent any kind of automated process. But here you can see in different areas from a company, HR, sales, finance. Let's say we have sales top 10 best-selling car brands, and we are trying to reach this goal in order that we can improve that process, just looking by these numbers that I presented here, for example. Yeah, so far we understood a bit about strategy, these KPIs, how it works, these key performance indicators, but we need to understand what are our goals, internal goals. And here we have two data strategies that we focus on our process improvement. We have the product coverage with auto tests, just represented by two KPIs, two relevant KPIs. And the pipeline's health will be explained by Vinny later with 4 KPIs. So about the product coverage, we have the percentage, this first one about percentage of coverage with auto tests. This means that imagine that your manager wants to know about the coverage with auto tests. We have no vision yet, but we need to discover at least the numbers of coverage we have with auto tests. And we are trying with that reduce our manual efforts with testing. So we could like achieve some specific goal with that in order that we can increase our coverage by limiting, for example, in 80% initially of specification covered with test automation. But to make this possible, we need to look at our test management system, which is like a Testomata.io tool. We are looking for that tool and collecting all the information related to the different test types we have identified in that tool, in that different BDD specification, let's say. And we have like end-to-end functional integration unit, but let's keep the unit tests out of this scope because they are not business perspective. So let's consider for this test parameter the relevant numbers only related to end-to-end functional integration, and also looking at the automated ones. With this information, where we collected from the TMS, basically we just sum these different test levels and divide by the total scenarios. And then we multiply by 100 to discover the total percentage of coverage, okay? Simple as that. In this dashboard we created together, it was not easy, but we could represent this visually for the team in order that we can now understand what is the total coverage for our product. So as you can see, we have just 18% of automated state. Yeah, it's not like a big number, not like an exciting number, but at least we know at least the direction we should take to start improving this process. So as you can see here, we can act on improve or invest more in test automation, okay? We have here like another bar chart where we are representing features, different features, and what is the coverage on each feature. In yellow, manual or not automated yet, and in green, what is already automated. So yeah, we know now the total coverage, but we need to understand as well what are those tests involved, what kind of tests we have on these different levels of test parameter strategy. For that, we can use this second KPI to calculate the percentage of scenarios per test level. Once we have this KPI, we are trying to at least balance our parameter to have a really shape of parameter. Otherwise, we don't know what we are doing with numbers without, as we have like data, but we are not like acting with these numbers. So we have this way to balance the parameter, and we can define some goals as well. As example, let's say we have to do, for example, to prepare invest more integration tests, 60% of those total coverage, 30% starting with backend tests and API tests, investing on these different layers as well, and reducing the end-to-end tests because they are expensive to maintain and run. So let's say that we want to achieve this goal to minimize and keep maximum at 10% or even less, you know? It's better if it was less because end-to-end tests are important, but they brings value for the team, but we should take care with them. Yeah. So looking at this, the way how we collect the information, we look again to our test management system, and we look for these different layers again, only for the business perspective tests, and especially for the different, let's say, states of these scenarios. So let's say that end-to-end, we are looking at the manual and automated ones, just splitting these different states because we will apply this in that formula, where let's start with that manual on, where we have integration tests, functional tests, and end-to-end tests. And we are trying to discover the percentage of each layer, getting like the manual integration, for example, and divide by the auto integration. We do the same for the automated ones, where we are trying to discover those numbers. And why do we need all of this? Because we need to represent this in a pyramid. We are representing this visually in this amazing dashboard, because we can represent what are all the coverage we have in these different levels. This is really interesting because managers now can understand, and not only managers, but the team can understand what are the efforts they could invest on these different test types. So let's say in the beginning, we had also manual, not manual, and manual and automated ones, but we need to understand how is like behaving our shift left approach, like how is this happening in this process, in the whole process. So let's say we have here end-to-end tests, like compared to the front-end integration ones, we could migrate them in different lower levels in order to make this more efficient and deliver faster with these different layers, you know. So we have much more tests on the front-end integration than in end-to-end. So these numbers clarify a lot for us. What is the next move on our strategy, okay? So yeah, here is another way how we are representing this in the dashboard, this distribution of test automation. And you can see that we are just using this donut to show the percentage of different test types we invested for our process. So yeah, now we understood about the benefit on this strategy. But we need to understand the time we're spending with tests and the pipelines, because this is important. And yeah, is a way how we can improve as well our significant test automation. Vinny will be explaining more about this.
Okay, so the first KPI we have for the pipeline itself is the percentage of successful and failed regression runs in the last 24 hours. This can give us some insights about how stable our pipelines are, and we can also use it to set some goals. For example, we can set a goal to have 100% of tests passing in the end of the day, and also add a zero tolerance to daily flaky tests as well. To get this data, we just go to our CI/CD tool, and we look for all the builds we had in the last 24 hours, and we divide them in two groups. The first group being all the test cases that were successful, and the second group, all the builds that were failed, basically. From that, we can just apply this formula to find out the percentage of failed executions in the last 24 hours. We just divide the total amount of failures by the total amount of executions. And we can do the same for the past ones, but this time we divide the total amount of past executions. That results in this dashboard where we represent in two different environments. We have development and staging. And there you can see some numbers as well. We have total amount of builds, the builds that passed in green, and the builds that failed in red. We also have two donut charts, as you can see here. The first one is for development is all green, but this one for staging it has a lot of red. And this is not good because it can mean that we have a lot of product defects, or we can have even flaky tests, or environment stability. So we should go there and check why that's happening. The idea here is to keep that donut as green as we can. This gives us some very good daily regression overview of our products, and we also can use this to have different feedbacks for different product environments, basically. We have all this information about the health of our test cases, but what about the time it takes to run them? So let's take a look at that. The first KPI we have for that is the ideal build execution time with automated tests, which shows us some very good insights about the parallelism we have. And also we can set some goals to keep the parallelism as fast as we can and keep our builds as fast as possible every day. Basically, then we have, to get this value, we just go to our CI/CD tool and we look for all the builds we have, and we get the one, we want to find the one that has more tests in less time. We want to disregard the one that has less tests in less time, as well as the one that has more tests in more time. We want the ideal one. Then our best build time we just assume that is the ideal build time, and we can calculate the medium and the worst build times as well. The medium one, we just multiply the ideal build time by the maximum amount of threads divided by 2, and the worst build time, we just multiply the ideal build time by the maximum threads, which will show us how slow we can run our tests with a single thread, basically. So yeah, the second KPI we have for that is basically the average build time we have with automated tests every day. This can show us how fast we can provide feedback to the team, as well as how fast we can find bugs on the product as well. And also we can set some goals, for example, to make our tests even faster. Or if we can set a threshold, and if it exceeds the threshold, we can go back and see why that happened, and bring the execution time to be faster again. To calculate that, we just go to our Bamboo again, the CI/CD tool, and we sum up the time it takes to run all of our builds in the last 24 hours, and we divide it by total number of executions. And then we have this displayed on our dashboard. So basically we have in red the worst build time, in yellow the medium build time, and in green the ideal build time. We also can represent this in a line chart. So the idea here, we also have two different environments, as I showed you before. We have development and staging. And the idea here is to keep that blue line as close to the green line as possible, because that way we can ensure that our tests are running as fast as possible. So here on staging, we can see that again, we have some problems there because the blue line is above all of our predicted build time. So that's not good. We should go there and check why that's happening and try to bring that blue line as close to the green one as possible. We also have here the average build time, as I showed you on previous slide. And yeah, this dashboard basically gives us very good assertiveness about the test parallelism we have. We can also ensure the build performance and stability of our builds. And we also, with the average build time, we can calculate another KPI that is very important for us, that shows us the return of investment of our test automation, basically. Hudson is going to show us that one next.
Thanks. So yeah, this next KPI, I think, in my opinion, is one of the most relevant compared to the others, because we have here numbers about time saved with test automation. Let's say that return of our investment with those tests. We are trying to discover how faster these tests are running, and also trying to minimize the overall efforts with testing and just taking sooner or early in the process with test automation. So investing this, once we increase that coverage, we are actually trying to gain time. So once we gain time, we are saving time. So here, as you can see, we don't have any history yet about like manual inputs involving efforts on manual tests, but we have a way to discover this just referring our analysis on test automation. So we have the KPI 5 that was presented by Vinny before, providing us this number about average build time in 24 hours. So we are considering this just 24 hours because we don't have database, so we prefer to look at this kind of time frame. And we have this KPI provide this information about build time, when also the CI/CD provide the average test per build. So once we divide these numbers, we have this average time to run a single test automation. So we need that because we need to represent or estimate manual test duration, just using that average time to run a single test automation by taking these different constants, as you can see, this 1.5, 2, and we are adopting this as a basis for different manual test activities. For example, prepare an environment, run script manually, validate manually, and report it manually. And once we have this, we are considering that we have, for example, 1.5 times lower than test automation. This is the way how we are trying to discover this manual testing duration and apply into this formula, where it's just like summing up all those different activities to discover the most likely case. Here, as you can see, we have other cases in order to make more realistic result in the future. So we have the pessimist case based on the most likely case, as we already calculated, multiplied by 2, because let's say that we have this pessimist duration 2 times lower than the most likely one. In opposition of that, we have the optimist case, where we are taking, let's say that we are performing manual tests in the same time as test automation. Okay, so we are using that average time to run a single test as we discovered before. Yeah, we adopt another technique is like a triangular distribution. This technique basically is like an average considering these different cases I presented before, and just an average. So divide by 3, and then we can apply this to the relative time cost, the expected manual testing durations we discovered, reduced from the average time to run a single test automation. With that number, then we can now calculate our time saved, just multiplying by the amount of tests in 24 hours and the amount of runs in 24 hours. With that number, we can represent then the benefits on this. We present all of these calculations, but just to find some specific time saved. So what we saved here? Let's say that we have in this environment, dev environment, 460 tests, okay? So another thing, 8 people performing this test manually. And comparing to the automated tests, let's say we have 8 threads or 8 parallel tests. So if those people are performing those 460 tests, they will be executing all of them in 9 hours. So it's a huge number. It's like, it's not efficient. So if we rely on our test automation, we're running this in 1 hour in 90 minutes. So we are saving, in that case, 7 hours, 41 minutes. Can you see now the benefit on having this KPI, or at least having this number, understand the purpose on this KPI? Because you can make good decisions for the team and invest in more test automation and make them as soon as possible or as early as possible in our process. And we are saving then with that not only time, but we are saving money for the company, for the team, for everyone, for the product. So your business at least is like have some kind of economy on that part. Okay, so the metrics are our bricks, let's say. But just KPIs help you to build your dream house. So I think you should invest your more KPIs to have this house, sorry. Yeah, our dashboard is not perfect. We need to invest more in KPIs and so on, but Vini will be detailing more about these next steps. So,
okay, so our dashboard is great, but still not perfect, as Hudson mentioned. So the next steps we would like to take is basically engage the entire team. We have this working for one of our products. We would like to make this dashboard working for every product we have. Also, we are thinking about implementing new KPIs. The first one being for the cost and time that it takes to create these automated test cases in the first place, and also add some flaky test frequency and also check the bugs we find with test automation. Besides that, we thought about moving this dashboard to Grafana, but that has 2 ends in our opinion. The first one is that we gain time with maintenance, but we also lose flexibility implementing new KPIs. And yeah, we also, as Hudson mentioned before, we don't save this data in the database for now, but we would like to do that so we can do long, medium, and short-term analysis of our test automation progress, basically. So now we have 5 minutes for questions and answers. Thanks a lot for your time, guys. I hope you enjoy our presentation.
Thanks, guys. So yeah, feel free to ask. Just no, we are here to ask anything. Feel free. We are here to clarify anything that was not possible to show in the slides. So yeah, 5 minutes, please.
How does it work? Like, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great talk. Thank you. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
So the first one, you said that currently the coverage is not that close to 100%, right? So let's say it's 20% and 80% is not covered, and you have budget from your manager to cover 5%. So how do you choose what features are you going to cover first, what next, so on?
Yeah, I can answer, and then you can complement. Yeah, basically we can invest on these uncovered features just by going through our PO or trying to collect the priorities from with QA engineers, you know. And once we discover what we need to cover and just align with the team, we can start acting on test automation. But we need to have like a really to be sure about what we need to cover. We just need to go ahead with the team and try to discover what we need to really pick these different approaches. For example, I need to cover with integration tests. So why should be integration tests? Why not end-to-end? Actually, we do this as a part of process where we align different scenarios we have, because that we have BDD, and we clarify what should be covered in the future with automation, or just keep specified to be executed as manual, for example. This depends on what you have in terms of specification. So 100% is all of the specifications we have into the BDD tool, like a test management tool I showed you. So once we have those specifications there, 100% is all of those scenarios, and we need to cover at least like, I don't know, 30% with front-end integration, just 1% with end-to-end. We can analyze depending on what the future feature is asking for you in terms of business, the complexity of scenarios. I don't know if I could answer properly what he asked.
So feature is asking to be covered by automation tests.
Yes.
Just to add what Hudson said, we also have, with the tags we showed it before, we also have some tags for priority and risk of each feature. And we are already using that on our dashboard. We didn't show you today, but we have a list of most highest ranked priority and highest ranked risks for the feature. So you can use that as well to cover the features.
Sure.
Okay.
First.
Thanks. Thank you. And a second question. So as I see, the trend is to automate the tests. So I can imagine that it poses a risk to manual QA people, right? So we don't need them anymore. So how do you see the role of QA specialists in the future, in the bright future where we have 100% features covered?
100% is impossible. And testers that perform this manually, actually, they won't be fired from the company, because they are really essential to investigate, especially complex features. Let's say they like there to make exploratory testing and invest on other, like let's say we have a complex process for testing. So quality assurance is not like that easy. So automate tests are here to help actually the QA engineers. They should be maintaining this as well, together with all the team. So it doesn't make sense to say that, oh, we need to fire everyone because we already have 100% of or 99% of coverage. This is not like the reality. It doesn't work that way, But of course, we can remove all of those complexity, or even the boring tasks like running every time regression stuff. Imagine that 406 tests are presented before. If you do this, the guy will be like, don't want to do that kind of task if he continues like performing a regression manually that way. It's like exhausting. So.
And with exploratory testing, we can find bugs that we couldn't find with test automation as well. So it's important to have them performing that activity, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking. Anyone? Okay, I think it's the limit. Time is this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Vinny. Thank you so much, Vinny and Hudson, for enlightening us on the importance of test automation and KPI. I will now welcome Vasilika, who's running up to talk to us about 3D VR AR in browser. Vasilika, please join me on the stage. Go.
Hi. Okay, let's start. Okay, we're ready. Okay, today my talk is let's expand the reality, and we will talk about VR and AR technologies. Let's meet a little bit. So, my name is Vasilika Klimova. As you heard already, I actually just was played since childhood in different games. And I think that most of developers like me, they wanted to become a game developer firstly, right? So raise your hand who wanted to become a game developer. Okay, I'm not alone. But we are here. I'm web developer, front-end, mostly. So I'm developer since 2010. And firstly, it called very strange, like webmaster, and you need to do everything. I was only one person, and I think it's good that they changed this name, because you know that master now is like vanished from Git as well. So there is no this word master. Okay, then I started work in Artec 3D company. And actually, this company helped me to move to Luxembourg. And this company provides and creates 3D scanners around the world. And so that's why I had a lot of tasks regarding 3D in web browser, because I was web developer, but with different 3JS tasks. It's a library for 3D. Now, also, after I came to this company, I became a speaker at the same time and organizer of different communities. And I was honored to be on the same stage with Eric Mayer. If you know about web development, this guy wrote several books about CSS. He's like very, very big professional in this area. And so later already, when I was in Luxembourg, I started my own web school here. So I teach people of web development. So if you have wives, children, or somewhere, you can, you know where to send them. And Cute Geek, it's a web IT agency. I do with my friends different web projects. So about virtual reality. I think that we heard this word since, I think, childhood. And I tried to find where was the first mention of this. So I like movies. First movie about virtual reality was Tron. So it was before I was born even. It was very funny graphics like this. But we have new Tron. You can, like, don't watch this one. There is a new version. And you know this story that firstly, we read science fiction in books, and then already we go to movies. So someone imagined it in their heads and create like visual, in visual way it. And then already we have it in real life. So let's talk what exactly virtual reality now. It's full immersion in virtual world. For this, you need special devices. You can do it with cardboard. So if someone wants, after my talk, you can come, and I have several examples, and I can show you with my phone. And also, Oculus is a very nice device. I think there are much more devices, but Oculus is very good for development. If you want to develop something for AR or VR and web browser, then use Oculus. And so it means that you just wear these glasses or just wear a cardboard, and then you see only virtual world. You don't see anything from real world. That's the most important thing about virtual reality. Also, what we need to know that it exists with 6 degrees of freedom. What does it mean? It means that, you know, from mathematics that we have 3 axes, right? Do you remember? Okay, so we can move through axes like X, Y, Z, yes, so movements, and also it could be rotation through axes. This means that around 3 axes, movements plus 3 rotations, it means 6 degrees of freedom. That's why it's called like this. And with glasses, you can see like a whole 360 degrees, so whole world. One movie was very good also about how to show virtual reality. It was Ready Player One. If you didn't see, you can watch it later. And I think it's something like this we will have like in several years, because it's very close, and Meta company, Facebook, you know, they go like straightforward to do something with this. And I think we will see it in our life, definitely. Okay, let's go closer to web browser, because I'm front-end developer and I will explain you a little bit more how it works. So if we talk about 3D, then we have some scene. So this is scene. It's 3D scene, so we can look there and we can move there, this scene. But for virtual reality, we need two scenes, and one for one eye and another for another eye. And they are almost the same, but with a little shift, because, you know, with our vision is the same. We will look not from the same position. And also, if you will start to do something with virtual reality in browser, you need to have this extension, WebXR in DevTools, and you can emulate different controllers. So it's emulation of controllers for Oculus. You move your camera with this. So I didn't have Oculus Quest here, but still you can do it just with any VR scene. Okay, another example, it's entertainment. You know, there are a lot of different rooms, like 4D, 5D, 6D. You go and look different funny movies. So this one, especially, it's YouTube video, and on YouTube you also go to VR mode and look at this scene really with glasses. So it's absolutely possible to do after my talk. And feel this environment. So it's entertainment. Of course, it's quite popular. Another thing, what also I think now it becomes modern, more modern than before, it's retail. So we are tours in different flats, apartments. This one is not like real. Yes, it's constructed, but still, when you want to present someone a new apartment, you want to show them how it could be. And does anyone do you know this flat? From which movie is it? No? Don't remember? Yes, Big Bang Theory, right. So this scene also, it's absolutely for free. You can look at this. It's absolutely like it was, I think, modeled, not scanned, but created from model. And so you can look at it. It's just for opportunity to look at the example in retail. Then there are now a lot of different education in virtual reality. Why it's very important? Let's just imagine some very big factory when some failure could cause very big damage. So, but you need to teach someone to work with these tools or big machines or etc. whatever. But with virtual reality, you can fail it, but virtually. It's much better, right? It will not cost you anything. So let's talk about actions in VR. What we learned already. So when we looked through VR glasses, we looked at virtual world, and it's absolutely not real world. And we can move in this world, in like in real life. We can rotate there, and we can see only objects of virtual world. So we don't see anything from real life. And we can interact with these objects. If you have controls, or you can click on your mobile phone somewhere, you also can use it and click and do some things with these objects. Okay, then augmented reality. What's the difference? The difference that we see real world. How we can do it? We also need still some devices. You see, like glasses or mobile phones. Also, you can use Oculus. They have special glasses for virtual and augmented reality. Microsoft HoloLens, or any device like mobile phones, tablets, etc. That's why it's quite easy to use. But there is some exceptions. I will tell you later. So the first movie where some people say that it's one of the best examples of augmented reality in use, like how could it be? It's this movie with Tom Cruise when he has on his fingers controllers, and with movements of these controllers, something happens on these augmented reality screens. So it was created like this and for the movie just. In real life, I think each of us used Facebook masks, really. I think especially with your children, because they always like it. And it's quite popular now, and it's quite easy to do. There are a lot of special tools to do masks with camera. My favorite part is education. So when you want to show someone some really nice piece of art in real life, you can not go just to Louvre maybe, right? But you can just wear glasses, put 3D model, and look at real dimension, and with you see different description, annotation, you can see everything on this scene, everything what you need. And you can even interact with this. I personally, I'm visual person, and I'm quite tired that in Luxembourg there are a lot of restaurants and they don't have pictures in their menu. It's really sad, especially when you don't understand what these French words mean. And I like when you can just look at pictures or even look at 3D model of your food. It's nice opportunities. You can use all these things, AR, everywhere. For example, you don't need to go to shop to buy glasses. You can just use application and look at yourself, because it works quite good, like masks also. And IKEA application also, where sometimes maybe you didn't measure, or some people they cannot imagine very fast how it will suit to your apartment or no, and you need to check color of their products or something. So you can just use application. You put your smartphone your flat and say like put couch here, and then you see it's much easier. Okay, let's summarize about VR actions or AR actions. So we can see real world. In this real world, we can the same move, we can rotate, and we can see in real world objects of virtual world. So that's why we extend reality. We add something from virtual reality to our real world, and then we can interact with virtual objects. That's the difference between AR and VR. So we already talked about VR, AR, and in web we call it WebXR. Just because it doesn't matter like AR or VR, it's the same API, and it's called WebXR. It's actually was in like a draft in 2020, but it was created before even. So now it's already candidate in V3C and W3C, and so you can use it. About support, we have 73% of support, and what does it mean? It's not like very green, you see, but it with flags that in almost all browsers we can switch on these options and look at our things. But there is also not nice things that everything from scratch works on Android. So iPhones not so lucky, because if you know that even Chrome on iPhones, it works like Safari, and so it's not the same. And that's why for iPhones we need to do some tricks. This is a link for extension for browser, what I told you, and for iPhone there are two solutions. 8Wolf, it's like environment where you create different AR and VR things. From scratch, and they have their guides and etc. And WebXR Viewer, it's just application, so you can just go to just go and download this application, and through this you can go already and watch different examples of VR and XR, especially of AR, because VR works on iPhone. So what doesn't work on iPhone, it's AR part. So this camera with virtual objects doesn't work. Okay. Then I talked already with you about WebXR, but there is very important part like WebGL technology. When we talk about 3D in browser, it's always WebGL. So maybe you heard before DirectX, OpenGL. So WebGL, it's like some version of OpenGL, but you still don't need to know it like from scratch. So it's not necessary, because if you will write everything from scratch on WebGL, it will be a very big piece of code even to draw a point. What do you need to do? You need to use frameworks. And to meet with frameworks, I want to explain a little bit definitions of 3D world and browser, and I think actually maybe in software industry as well. So in each web framework, we have such definition like scene. So like I'm here staying, for looking at something on your web page, you need to have a scene. It's like the most important part. Then you need to put lights. Yes, like here. Otherwise it will be dark on the scene, you see nothing. Then you need to put someone there and look at it. And then you need to understand from which point you want to look. That's why you need camera. Because camera, it's like your eye. You look from this side or from this side, or you're moving and change, like in game. You're going and with camera. And the last definition, which is very important also, is renderer. So renderer, it's an object, which class or object for you, right? But which is responsible of drawing everything on your flat screens with pixels. So it was like vector objects, very lot of polygons of this girl or something, but still in the end you look at this like picture, it's rendered with pixels. A little bit about algorithm of work with WebXR technologies. So we start with checking does this browser support WebXR. Then we start the XR session. Here actually you can choose like AR or VR you need. And then you render, the most important thing, you render everything what you have on your scene. All these objects which I mentioned before. And it's also very good to clean after yourself, right? And XR session. About frameworks. So very famous and my favorite, I think, is 3JS, because I wrote for several years code using this library. But also there is a very famous Babylon.js and PlayCanvas. But PlayCanvas is even like not just library. You just go to their website and you can play web scene directly there. So a lot of things are already built in with this thing. So it's like an environment in your browser. You can do everything there, not on your laptop. This small example of AR in my house, you can check this example only with Android. And I'm tossing tomatoes to this dancing guy in my living room. So it's easy example of scene, and you can check the code by link. If you want to know a little bit more about this, you also need to go to Mozilla website, because they are very like progressive in this area. And my point of this talk, that yeah, it's very nice when we have a lot of entertainments in our life, VR, AR, etc., whatever. But I think that even if our world is not the best place, especially nowadays, sorry, yes, but I think it's worth to live in this world and to live with our close people, to love them. So, and just add all these fancy things into our life and make it funny. These guys are Twitter guys, and you can subscribe to them if you want to be to stay tuned about this topic. And some courses which are quite famous about WebGL if you want to learn it, and course about WebXR. It's quite modern technology, so there are not a lot of courses about this. And the last thing what I wanted to tell you that in this Thursday, we will be in Independent Cafe in the evening, and it will be Luxembourg Jazz Community, where I'm one of organizers. So welcome to our community if you want. We usually talk about front-end topics, but also it could be some back-end topics as well. This first meet will be just to meet after summer. So first talk will be in the end of September. And so thank you very much for listening. Any questions?
If there's any questions, even longer than 5 minutes, it's fine. So
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thanks for a great talk. So I think I have a huge list of movies to watch tonight. That's very important. So my question is about learning curve. So how easy is that to become like professional VR, AR developer? Is it even a thing, or do we have vacancies to work in it?
Yes,
It's basically two questions.
Yeah, so first question, how is it? I think that it's better to ask this guy in glasses in the end, because
There are
he's
glasses.
there is my husband in the end, and he's 3D developer. So he's especially a 3D developer in this area. No, this one. Yeah. So yeah, you can ask him then about this. But I think just for beginners, so when I came to Artec 3D, my first task was to create 3D cube. I didn't know anything about this topic, but I did it. So I found information. So it's possible. But if you need to go deeper, you definitely need to learn mathematics, linear algebra, matrix, etc., etc. So you need to maybe you can add something.
Yeah, as she told that you should know trigonometry and line algebra. So you need to learn the matrix. You need to learn all formulas with.
Or remember.
Remember, yeah, work with spaces like sinus, cosinus, and other stuff, and do some animation. Yeah, you need a lot of complex mathematics. But if you need to do like simple scene without simple presentation, you can use frameworks, and it will be easy to learn.
Yes, with frameworks there is it's not a it's not solution for all tasks, because, for example, in Artec 3D, firstly we use 3JS, but later when I already I left the company, they hired special WebGL developers. These guys were from C++ background, so they knew OpenGL, etc., but they decided to go to WebGL closer, and they just rewrote everything from scratch. They used WebGL 2.2 version, so it was much faster than 3JS, and you need it if you want to show, for example, streets in 3D, because with 3D scanners, then Artec 3D bought LiDAR, and you can scan streets, building, etc. So a lot of points on your scene. That's why you need something with a good performance, and frameworks, they are limited by their function.
So yeah, I have a question. Which framework better to use for games for VR, AR, and which framework better to use in the industry?
For games, I heard, and the second one for what?
for industry, like
A big one.
like learning how to use work with engine and other stuff.
I think that for games, I don't have slides anymore. For games is very often used Babylon.js, and quite often I heard Play Canvas. So I know guys who wrote on Play Canvas a lot of games. But 3JS it's also possible. I think it depends. It's like when you ask me, do we need to use React or Angular for our application? Firstly, you need to decide what your developers know already. So if they know 3JS, maybe it's not a good idea to go to Play Canvas, right? Because 3JS also is possible. But again, if you need very good performance, I think maybe you need to write something from scratch as well. Because there are a lot of these engines, but which were written by people by themselves, and they are using it in their company, so custom. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Thank you for the presentation. It was very entertaining. My question is about the future of VR and AR. About the feedback specifically. So currently, if I understood correctly, the only feedback to the user is visual or audio. But are you familiar with any like plans or maybe existing experiments with the tactile feedbacks or maybe something else? And does WebXR already support any of the feedback functions?
What do you mean by feedback functions?
Something that the user feels in return from the VR experience, like touches, vibrations, or something like that.
Okay. So, you mean how it could be? Okay. Some interface interactions or something like this?
Yeah, like for example, if you're playing in a game and you get, I don't know, shot or something.
But there are a lot of, yeah, of course, there are.
This is obscure, but.
Yeah, there are, it's like in the end, WebGL is API for JavaScript. JavaScript knows everything. If in your game there is this thing that you, I don't know, shoot anyone, and then you got shooted, then you can get, of course, feedback with music, with everything, so it's connected. Everything is possible. And actually there are games on WebXR, of course. In web browser, you have WebXR technology. Not WebXR, but you have WebGL technology. But if we talk about WebXR, then in Oculus also, for Oculus, there are different applications which are using WebXR experience. And they also, of course, have sounds and all these interactions with user.
Are there any devices that would, I don't know, like gloves or something that would make you feel the feedback?
So you mean from the game?
Yeah. Yes.
No, I didn't heard about it. Maybe there is something, but I didn't heard that you have feedback for your body. No, but I think it's not long time when we will have it.
Okay, thank you.
You was first. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I don't know the frameworks you've shown, so maybe this question will be not correct. But are there full-blown engines what you can use for this purpose, like Unity with AR output or whatever, or targeting AR output or something like that? So you don't have to program your own engine basically based on some kind of frameworks.
I didn't get.
Yeah, so like...
maybe it's you quiet, can you...
Yeah, sorry, maybe I try closer. Yeah, so my question is if we have like larger scale engines which can support your development in general, like not just a framework where you can, what you can use to program whatever you want, but have like Unity or I don't know what we have, Unreal Engine with an AR output, for example.
But with these tools which I showed, you can do whatever you want. You can do game training, whatever you want, like VR tour, everything. If you go on 3JS website, then you can see a lot of examples on their first page. So just choose whatever you want. And yeah, a lot of, actually, why I like it, because when you come to the website, when you have not like a lot of CSS and everything is moving, but you feel this deep in this website, and you feel that it's not only flat, it's really 3-dimension. I think it's so cool. So you have this this feeling, this atmosphere of website, and it's a real wow effect for any company, even if you, I don't know, finance or whatever you want. For example, I know that even Russian bank, because I work in fintech currently in Luxembourg, in Russian bank Tinkoff, they did games with WebGL to make like some sales discounts for people. So finance, it's not closer to entertainment, but people like to play gamification of all your educational process. It's super cool.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So my question is that I was involved with a little bit, like not a little bit, 10 years ago in development with OpenGL and WebGL. Canvas 2D, Canvas 3D, and we work with without the libraries, with matrix multiplication to move cameras and so on. And we work with the shaders also, even in the web applications when it was in the night builds only of the browsers. But the thing is, we stopped because we didn't find proper guys, and think we find out that the companies like Microsoft, Samsung, and others, they stopped to invest in this because me and many other people feel uncomfortable in the glasses, and there was a lot of talks about how to improve this, and maybe there is some new technologies now that it's not like increasing the blood pressure immediately, like in 15 minutes, to prolongate this ability to use the glasses. Maybe, you know, just interested.
Yeah, I heard about it. And my neighbor in my childhood, he was like a quite rich guy, I think, and he had this in 90s, these glasses. And I heard that he had bad vision after this because it was like fresh technology, and unfortunately later he got glasses in the aged already, and it was not like because he was aged. So something bad was with glasses, definitely. Currently, I heard about one girl. Don't remember the name exactly. She's developer advocate in these things. So she needs to check all glasses and etc. how it works. And she said that sometimes she has like a headache or dizzy something, but it's much better now. So I have a couple of friends who they use it and develop 3D websites for different clients. They don't have any problems with eyes. So maybe sometimes you have problems with your blood pressure here, but it's like the same when diving, because I'm diver. I know that some people just try, they came to Philippines and they want to dive, but then they tried and they can't because they have pain in their eyes, and so they stopped. So it depends, I think. But it's much safer now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your question, guys. And if anyone wants to try, you can come to me. I will show you in real life. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Vasilika, for joining us tonight. That was very insightful. Again, I want to thank Vinny and Hudson also for putting in the effort, coming together, and just like enabling a conversation around interesting topics. And to wrap this up, I also wanted to thank for everyone that has contributed to make this small event here possible, all the departments, PR, OM, FM, I'm looking at you. And so to finalize, let's get networking. There's going to be some pizza arriving very soon. Until then, there's some beers. Serve yourselves. And yeah, feel free to exchange, network, and loosen up for the evening. Thank you very much for joining us. One more thing. We aim to have more editions of this happening. So in case you would like to participate as a speaker, please reach out to us. We would love to discuss further. All right, thank you very much and have a good evening.